started. Okay, so I am so excited to introduce today's guest, Aneela Idnani. Aneela is an advocate, speaker, businesswoman, and the co-founder of Habit Aware. But beyond all of that, she is someone who truly understands the experience of living with a body-focused repetitive behavior, which is a BFRB, specifically trichotillomania, commonly known as hair pulling. So for those of you who might not be familiar, a BFRB, a body-focused repetitive behavior, is a condition in which individuals engage in repetitive behaviors like hair pulling, skin picking, nail biting, or even cheek biting. These behaviors often serve as a self-soothing coping strategies where a person attempts to manage stress, anxiety, or emotional tension, even though the behaviors may cause physical harm or emotional distress. While they may offer brief relief, they can become difficult to manage, leading to both physical and emotional challenges. Aneela has taken her personal experience with trichotillomania and turned it into a powerful mission to raise awareness and help others through her work. Today, she's here to share her inspiring journey with us. Aneela, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It feels so good to be here with the community and to see a friendly face pop on as well. Now I have two friendly faces with me to hang out, and I'm excited to chat with all of you. I would just assume that there's more friendly faces behind this big black screen, but
Definitely.
I'm excited to share my story and hopes all of you find a new nugget. That's actually why if you might see me sort of going over here whenever I hear my story, whenever I hear other people's stories, I always find like a new nugget of, oh my gosh. And so I like to write
Yeah,
things down, take notes,
yeah.
so that I can help me process them, not in here, but out here.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And there is just so much to talk about. And before we really get into the questions, I just wanted to share with the audience. You may or you may not know that Aneela has a TED Talk. And I just wanted to share this that I've already shared with Aneela with the rest of you. So I've mentioned this to you personally before, Aneela, but I just wanted to share this with others as well. The first time that I watched your TED Talk, I was very deeply moved. It was the first TED Talk that I had seen that had such a profound effect on me. It was truthful, authentic, and raw. And even as you shared your story, I could still sense the pain that you still carried. And yet, your courage in continuing to speak so openly about trichotillomania was incredibly heroic. You not only gave a voice to what so many of us have felt, but you also demonstrated that healing and progress are not only possible, but it's within reach. So I just wanted to share that
Thank you.
with
I really,
everybody.
really appreciate that. I don't know if some of you may be like me where to receive that love right now from you about the TED Talk and just in general, right? Like that is so wonderful, but some of you may be like me where it's the negative comments that stick. And you can go look at the TEDx Talk link, and you will find one comment where someone says, "Why is she crying? It's not like she has cancer." and
Well,
and that's the comment that sticks. Not all the other
sure.
hundreds and thousands of
Mm,
comments in
mhm,
there that are like, "Oh my God, this is
mhm.
me. Oh my God, I feel seen. Oh my God, like thank you for building this product." But no, that one, right? And that's a
Yeah.
testament to how our brains work. Our
Mhm,
brains stick with the negativity. And so it's our role to be positive with each other and to make
mhm.
sure that we find the positivity in whatever problem we may have. So thank you for that heartfelt love right now. I really appreciate it.
You're really welcome. And I've said this before, particularly in our support groups and on these types of platforms. I've been in the mental health industry for 2 decades, so no one guess my age, please. But it's been a really long time. However, and I've never experienced the community the way that I experienced the BFRB community. And I think it's basically just what you said now. Um, it's so moving and just so beautiful to be a part of it. I generally get a sense that people who are part of the community are there with intention. They are truly there to support each other and, hold each other up, and genuinely care and provide just non-judgmental, non-critical uh, mentor, whether it's mentorship or just listening or just being there to listen, whatever it is. But there's just like this amazing energy that I get from the community that I haven't experienced anywhere else.
I'm with you. I think that is that bond of the pain we all go through,
Hmm.
that despite our stories being somewhat different, there are also so many similarities.
Yeah,
And um and that bond really does bring us together and really does make it such that we want to root for each other, we want to encourage
yeah,
each other, we want to
yeah.
see, and we also see, like, I don't know how to put this, like we see the version that we can be in others.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
Habit Aware runs an online community, and people in there, you come in and you don't see yourself for who you are. You see yourself for the hair pulling, the skin picking, the nail biting. But then you
yeah.
go into a group and you then start seeing, oh, there's a amazing mother or a
Hmm.
doctor or someone who hikes every weekend or whatever it
Hmm.
is. And oh
Hmm.
yeah, they have hair pulling. And that
Hmm.
reflection back is like, oh yeah, I'm not just this thing. And I think that
Yeah,
also brings us together in a way that is very unique, is that it helps us see each other. It helps us see each other and it helps us see ourselves within. We get to really
yeah,
learn who we are.
yeah. I love that. So going back, I want to just ask you, can you take us back to when your hair pulling like first started? So we've jumped to groups and we've jumped to TED Talks, but take us all the way back to when your hair pulling first started, and like what were those early years and experiences like for you?
Yeah, so really before I even started hair pulling, I was a baby thumb sucking. And my parents did everything in their power to get me to stop. They like wrapped mittens around me. They, wrapped me up tight like this as a little burrito and but it was just something that stuck with me into even like pre-K toddlerish years, and somehow I started growing out of it, but I graduated to hair twirling. So I would like,
Mhm.
just all the time just being like this. And maybe it was probably like this the whole time. Who knows, right? I don't
Yeah.
who knows that far back. Um and then I started pulling around puberty. So a lot of people don't talk about this, but I started pulling from my pubic hairs. Puberty, body's changing, and that's what I would pull. And, nothing of it, right? Just like pulling,
Yeah.
didn't matter, felt kind of good. Uh, Whether it was a little bald patchy down there or not, didn't matter. But thumb sucking, hair twirling, pulling pubic hairs. I also have cheek biting. I also do have nose picking, not to a degree of what it could be clinically, but these behaviors, these tendencies are innate, right? Like they're natural, grooming, animal
Mhm.
grooming type things, right? So
Yeah.
basically primed for this condition. Um, and then in science class, we watched a video about the mites in your eyebrows. And it was like these microscopic little, don't want to go there.
Mm.
I don't want to go there because I don't want to trigger anyone. But that was it for me. And I'm Indian. I have a
Yeah.
lot of hair on my body. I'm,
Mm.
going through puberty. I have even more hair on my body. My eyebrows are like big and bushy. And so I start playing with them and I'm like, a little grossed out by this, and I start playing with them, and then I start pulling them, and then I start pulling them more, and then I start pulling them more, and then I start being like, oh, I have to hide the fact that I've done this to myself,
Yeah.
because I didn't know what it was. And so that's
Mhm.
really the evolution for me. Is it started out as harmless,
Mm.
regular old childhood, typical thumb sucking, and
Mm.
slowly over time became hair pulling. And then in high school, my father fell sick with cancer, which is kind of really why that that
Mhm.
comment about the TED Talk really bothers me,
Yeah.
because cancer actually has been part of my life back then, but then also recently I had my own battle with breast cancer, so it's like very like raw. Um,
Yeah.
and you know, it was the 90s. My father was sick with cancer for about 4 years, in and out of hospitals, in and out of remission, relapse, death, and we didn't talk about anything other than the physical health of him.
Mm. Mm.
We didn't know we needed to be talking about the grief amongst ourselves, my sister, my mom, myself, my dad, right? When we were all together, like we didn't know that this was something we should be talking about. We should be checking in on this child to see how
Yeah.
they're handling this whole situation. And so I had
Yeah.
nowhere else to go but here.
Yeah.
So that's when it became a disorder.
Yeah. And for obviously for many years later, you continue to hide this from your family, your friends, and obviously, during the TED Talk, we learned that you were even hiding it from your husband. What was then that turning point that you decided to stop hiding and start speaking openly about it?
Yeah, so I hid. A lot of people are like, what do you mean you hid from your husband whom you've dated
Mhm.
for 6 years? And
Mhm.
hey, we with this condition are really good at
Mhm.
hiding.
Yeah.
Nobody else can tell you're wearing a wig. Nobody else can tell that it's no, I didn't wear a wig, but that's just an example. So
Yeah.
my pulling was really eyebrows, eyelashes, pubic hair. Um, Nobody could tell because I had a black eye pencil that I would put on every morning. And nobody could tell
Mhm.
because if I pulled from here for 2 days straight, then I would pull from here for 2 days straight. Nobody could
Mhm.
tell because all my eyelashes might have been gone, but nobody could tell. They may look
Yeah.
at my face and be like, you know, you could tell that their brain is
Yeah.
thinking like, what's
Yeah.
off? But
Mm.
it's eyelashes. It's so like not, you know, at the forefront that no one can in those like look and find type what's the difference games. You're not
Yeah.
gonna be able to figure it out that it's the eyelashes that are the difference, right? So I was
Yeah.
able to hide because of um other people's inability to see, in a
Mhm.
sense. Other
Mhm.
people's inability to, and maybe not inability, but other people's like just it's not what they were looking for, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
um and so it was me that felt the need to hide because I didn't want anyone to think lesser of me. I didn't want anyone to think I was weird or whatever. And I
Yeah.
didn't understand what this was. Like I thought my hands were doing this
Mm.
crazy thing to myself. I didn't know it was a condition. I didn't know there was a name for it. I thought that I was messed up. I was wrong. I was um, I was my hands are even shaking right now as I'm looking at them. I was not strong enough,
Yeah.
right? Um
And
And then you asked about the decision to sort of share, and for me, it was
yeah.
not a decision. It was
Mm.
I was pregnant with my first child and pulling the first time ever that I had pulled out an entire eyebrow. Because again, I had had that at least a little bit of that nuance of like, this is my
Mm.
plan, right? Of like, I'm gonna pull,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna do it a
Mm.
little strategically in that sense,
Strategically. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that it could be covered up. And I do think because I was pregnant, the hormonal change was also impacting, right? It started in puberty,
Mhm.
pregnancy, even
Mhm.
now even postpartum and into my 40s and menop I have early menopause because of my breast cancer. So like there's all these little hormonal moments where the
Yeah.
trick comes back, in
Yeah.
my life at least. Um, and so yeah, I rolled out of bed, I looked and I saw, oh my God, I pulled out the entire thing. I jumped up to go do my strategy of make sure no one sees. And he's coming out of,
Mm-hmm.
my husband Samir is coming out of the bathroom and we bump into each other and he just like squints and is like, Aneela, where are your eyebrows? And I'm like, oh crap, like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you were not supposed to know. You were not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
see me as less than. You were not supposed
Yeah.
to find out my flaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in that moment, I told him, I pulled him out because I just couldn't think fast enough. I couldn't lie fast enough. And in the coming weeks, he took to the internet to try to understand what I was going through a little bit more. And then and so that's really how I let him in. I was very afraid to let even him in because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't want to be seen as flawed. I didn't want to be seen as, like, selling him like a different version of myself, right? And then him being like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, you're not the person I married. I'm out of here,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to be rejected. I think that's
Yeah.
it. We don't
Yeah.
want to be rejected. We fear that so much, that
Mm-hmm.
judgment, and that we all look for belonging, we all look for connection, and the last thing we want is to be pushed away.
You're so right. And when it comes to BFRBs, that shame, we've spoken about it in other webinars as well, but that shame is so incredibly strong. And it can often like continue to perpetuate that cycle. I feel shameful, I'm going to pull. Now that I've pulled or I've picked, I feel even more shame. And now because I'm feeling shame, I have all of these emotions that are running through my body. I'm going to now pick or pull. And it just continues and continues. And a lot of the time, because of that shame and that guilt, we tend to hide. And I love how you put that. That term is that you finally allowed him in. Is that when we're feeling that shame or that guilt, we do not let people in. We want to keep them outside. Um, and that's so incredibly sad. Because by doing that, we are isolating ourselves.
Mhm.
That's really hard, to live in isolation and to not feel like yourself.
Yeah. And we do it, I remember as a kid, um, not going out for the basketball team because I was afraid. Like I remember doing the tryouts. The gym teacher was like, you gotta try out, you gotta try out. And I remember doing the tryouts and being in the locker room afterwards and like noticing everyone else was showering and
Mm,
changing their clothes out in the open um and I was just like, wait a minute, like I can't allow that to happen because what if, right?
yeah,
What if they see patches down here? What if I like wipe my brow and my eye makeup
mm,
comes off because I'm so sweaty? Like that's it. The what if kept me
yeah,
from a
yeah,
a deal with New York Liberty, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And so that's the power of our mind.
yeah. So going from completely isolating yourself, then telling your partner at this point, then doing a TED talk. I mean, like that's like on a completely different level. So that was a huge step. So what led you to that moment? And if you can, like, what was it like to share now your BFRB, not with one person, not with 10 people, possibly not even with 100 people. We're talking about thousands of people. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so the leap from my husband finding out to the TED Talk was, I want to say 4 years. 4
Okay.
years of really hard work. So right after, and I'll go quick through the story because there's, I know you have lots of questions and I want to make sure we have time for everybody else's questions as well. So those 4 years, very compressed, was immediately after my husband found out, he took to the internet to try
Mm,
to understand the condition. Um, then, a few weeks later, we're sitting on the couch and I'm pulling, and I don't realize that I'm pulling because it's so
mhm,
subconscious. It's that reptile brain, that
mhm,
automatic autopilot. And he gently takes my hand. And that was this aha moment of, I wish I just had something that notified me that wasn't you.
mhm.
Because,
Yeah,
it's like it's very grating when someone else is like, hey, you're
mhm,
pulling. Hey, stop.
mhm,
Hey, I see
mhm.
you, right? Like, I don't want people,
Yeah,
nobody wants to be seen for doing something, one, they
yeah,
don't want to be doing, two,
yeah,
quote unquote,
yeah,
wrong, not good, whatever, however you want to see it, right? We want to be seen and acknowledged for the good we're putting in this world. And so, like, no,
yeah.
do not do that. Do not grab my hand. And also, holy cow, I have an idea, Samir. What if we made something that just notified me? And so we built what is now the Keen 2 smart bracelet. So it uses gesture detection to bring awareness to when I am playing with my eyebrows, or when you're nose picking, or when you're nail biting, or when you're face picking or hair pulling.
Yeah,
And that sends that vibration that shifts it from the subconscious to the conscious, so that now you
yeah,
can do the work that a treatment professional is trying to explain to you and trying to get you to do to
yeah,
retrain your brain to healthier strategies. And so that took, a few years to get off the ground. And then in 2000, I believe the TEDx talk was in 2019. So we went through a hardware accelerator program. We built the bracelet. We got it to market. We started helping people. Um, in Minneapolis, where I live, is a big startup community. So we've had lots of support from the community. And there was a startup competition here that's the largest the largest state competition for startups, and we won.
yeah.
And
Amazing.
on that judging committee was someone who was also on the board of TEDx Fargo, North
Oh,
Dakota.
wow. Wow.
And I didn't know this. I didn't know that that's what her role was. But
Yeah,
that person being on the board of TEDx Fargo, when she was in the room with the that planning committee, she threw out my name to speak.
yeah,
And I got the email from this guy, and I was like, I don't think so. I'm not ready. I don't, and he was just like, you know what?
mhm,
You're the second woman today that's told me, no, I don't think so.
mhm.
I'm not ready, calling me out on my imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, you know what? You're right. I'm doing this. And by that point, over those 4 years of trying to build this device, I had to share my Trichotillomania secret with the Minneapolis startup
Mhm,
community, but also my
mhm,
business idea. So getting over that hump of like, I got it. I have to be able to be comfortable saying, hey, I pull out my hair. I have this thing. I'm trying to, develop this device. Do you know anyone who's an engineer or, can help us? Right. And in the process, people would come up to me afterwards and be like, look at my nails. I bite my nails. Or look at my hair. I have hair pulling.
yeah, yeah,
And so it was building these kids, starting to build these connections and starting to see, wow, like it's more than just me. Like there's so many people.
yeah.
So that's how I got to the TEDx stage, was really just by putting myself out there, working on something I believed in,
Mhm,
um, and kind of just trusting the universe is going to have my back. I mean, I literally put the TEDx logo on my vision board for that year. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen, but I also just trusted that, like, I call it serendipity as a strategy.
mhm.
If you put yourself, and it's also called karma in other
Yeah,
in other scenarios, or synchronicity. Just the more that you show up in the world in a good way, I just believe
yeah,
the more that good comes back to you. And the universe is watching.
yeah.
The universe is listening to all of that energy, and feeling all that
Mhm.
energy, and and helping us get on to the stages that we need to so that we can serve the communities we choose to serve.
Yeah. So I think I was at home watching that TED Talk. Obviously, that was many years after you had actually done it. Um, and I could see uh, that you telling that story still brought a little bit of pain. And as you mentioned earlier, that you were emotional giving that talk without obviously the obvious. What was that like for you? Like, what was it like talking to so many people, um, taking off all of that armor and just completely exposing yourself and being so vulnerable?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It's very much like right now. I can't see anybody except for you, right? And it was the same, like the lights shining down, like because the lights are so bright, you look into this big giant
Yeah.
stadium and it's just
Mm,
darkness. You can
mm.
feel like the outlines of bodies, and there was 2,000 people. It was packed.
Wow.
That
Wow.
stadium was packed.
Wow.
And I just took a deep breath, and I don't know, it's also sort of, you when you're giving a talk like that,
Hmm.
for me, it's I don't know, I am a very visual person, so I do like to write notes and stuff. So literally like my brain just sort of became its own little screen, and I just saw my script a little bit of like everything I wanted to say was like right there. Um and you kind of just almost like shut off, like it is almost,
Yeah.
it's a shock, right? It's a shock to your system.
Yeah.
And I sort of just like went into this hole of giving that talk, sharing my journey. Like, I mean, to say I gave a speech is, I don't think, doing it justice,
Mm.
because it
Yeah.
really was like
I
this,
agree.
like I can't even tell you what it was like because I don't feel like I was there. Does that make sense? Like it was so like
Yeah.
just the spirit showing up, in a sense of
Yeah.
just everything in my heart laid out on the table. And
Hmm.
then, you hear the cheering at the end and what looked like maybe a standing ovation, and you snap out of it and you're like, oh, wait, what? Where am I? Like, right? It's like the magician, like, wakes you
Yeah.
up and you're like, oh, yeah, it was hypnotizing. That is the word I was trying to find. It was hypnotizing. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like, and I have this one picture of the guy who invited me, who was the director of TEDx. Like, he comes back on stage and he gives me this high five, like, F yeah, you did it. Like, that was amazing. And I'm like crying, he's crying, like, you could tell the people in the audience are crying.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just like such a rush of energy, a rush of excitement, a
Mhm.
rush of like, if I could do that, I can do anything kind of thing. And that's what keeps me
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that the world knows, you're not keeping a secret anymore. How did that clearly it was like a mind shift and a full sort of body shift. How has that changed how you see yourself? And obviously also how has that changed the relationships that you have?
Yeah. I think I always say secrets make us sick. To me, it
Mm,
really wasn't the hair pulling that was, I mean, yes, of course, like the bald spots, right? Those symptom level was bothersome, but it was all the hiding. It was all the telling myself I'm ugly, I'm useless, I'm wrong. It was all of that negative chatter. It was all that
mm,
fear. It was all that shame. That's the true sickness.
yeah,
And that really grows and grows and grows only when you're not showing it to anyone else, when you're not telling anyone else what's inside. And so for me, it's the secret that makes you sick. And the
mm,
moment you let one person in, whether it's someone you love right next to you or it's in a community
yeah,
with other people like this, then you can start chipping away
mhm,
at all of that other stuff I just pointed out, which is the real issue.
yeah.
And so I
I
still
see
pull.
lots of love for you.
I see it. I see it. And I still pull. I still pull a little bit. But, the definition of trichotillomania, the definition of dermatillomania, the definition of these BFRBs is doing the behavior, trying so much to stop, and it ruining your life, debilitation. So I still pull a little bit. I am no longer trying to stop because I have found my system to manage. And this stuff does not stop me anymore. So I no longer have a disorder. I have a little thing that I do, but it doesn't get me the way it used to get me. And that's what I want for other people in this community to see and to find for themselves.
Yeah. So if you could then tell yourself that young girl going through puberty in particular, what would you tell her? What would you say to her?
You know, this is the butterfly effect, so I wouldn't tell her anything. She has to go through all that. That is the lesson. That is the work, because if I want that little girl to grow up to be this woman or this person, because you know, gender's sort of out the door for me, this person, she's got to go through everything. So all of those steps, all of those obstacles, all of those rocks are preparing that child for this moment. And if I got in the way of that, then I don't know what I would be doing right now.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you still experience shame? And if you don't, how do you think you managed to get through that?
Also, you don't experience shame as it relates to my BFRB anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe in other scenarios where I feel like maybe I said something silly or whatever, but I mean, I'm also, I think, old enough now to just remember that other people's opinions of me don't shape who I am.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of shame is rooted in, again, the what if and the what is other people thinking about me, the judgment. And I am my own judge.
We have so many people on the platform right now. So they may be experiencing trichotillomania, excoriation, skin picking, cheek biting, nail biting. We may even have family members of those on here as well. We also might even have mental health professionals on here as well, learning about more about these challenges. If someone is struggling through this journey, or they know of someone who is, and they're suffering and struggling in silence, and afraid to share their experience, afraid to seek support or help, unsure about treatment, who are just feeling maybe a little bit stuck, what would you say to them?
I think I would say fear. Give me a second. I want to make sure you know, we've been conditioned to see fear and run. And I think, and I know that when we see fear, we need to acknowledge it and go toward it. Because that is where our growth is. That is where we become the person we know in our hearts that we are meant to be. So if you're unsure of where to start, if you're stuck, if you don't know who to tell, you're afraid to tell, I get it. I get it because, we have, you tell one friend and they may be like, ew, that's gross because they don't have the understanding. You may tell one other
Mhm.
friend, oh, I have something similar and, you have a companion in it. Or they may be able to see themselves in you in a different way of, oh, I have XYZ condition or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Or I just love you and I don't care, like, right? Like, so it's really
Yeah.
about like finding the right person to tell and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
or finding the right
Mhm.
resources to help
Mhm.
you, right? And so I think the fear is where we need to stay in a sense. It's the place that we need to do the work. And I'm the type of person that believes we are all put on this earth for a specific reason or reasons, and that, yeah, if we see fear and we say, "Oh no, I'm just gonna go watch TV over here," we're never gonna get to that reason that we were
Yeah.
here, that we're here.
Yeah.
So fear
Yeah.
is the path.
Yeah. It's incredibly powerful. And just, adding to what you're saying, like when we listen to the fear and when we are conditioned by that fear, um, we kind of remain in a fearful state, or we remain uh, a prisoner of it.
We remain small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the antidote to fear is exactly what's on my shirt. Love. Love is what makes change possible. This
Mhm.
is what I believe. That when we go to that fear, and the fear may be the path, but when we go to that fear, it must be in this state of love. What are you trying to teach me? What can I do next? What's the next right loving action? And that is how the doors start opening.
Yeah. So we know a little bit more about you, but you obviously are an incredible businesswoman. Co-founding organizations and businesses. Um, I'm curious from that perspective, how has you speaking about Trichotillomania and other BFRBs, how has that affected like your work relationship or your professional image and life?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have been very, very welcoming to, and also I would say post in, not like in COVID and post COVID, I think the conversation around mental health has shifted dramatically. It used to be, in the 90s, it was mental illness. When I was a kid, it was watching shows, the media showing straitjackets and people lining
Mm-hmm.
up to get their little white pills, and
Mm-hmm.
it was illness. It was,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to be associated with that, right? Um, as the years have progressed, and I think really in pre-COVID, just pre-COVID and especially COVID, mental health is health. That understanding
Mm-hmm.
of mind-body connection, of, it's not just about your physical health, but also your mental health and how the two are intertwined. And so I think it's been, as someone running Habit Aware, uh, people are very welcoming to that, to the work that we do. They see the power of what we're doing. They see the life change. They see the stats that we can share. Um, and they're backing us. We have venture capitalists who are saying, yes, I want to invest in you to help you
Mm-hmm.
invest in these people to change their lives. And so from a business perspective, it's been, this is actually a dream come true to be able to run my own business, because I saw my parents run their own businesses as a child. And I just always knew that I have entrepreneurship in my blood, and going through everything that I had to go through to get to here, just again, it makes me feel like, yes, I'm living up to what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm meeting those
Yeah.
that vision for myself. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I started, this is a sweatshirt from, don't know where the logo is, from BFRB Change Makers, which is the nonprofit I
Mm-hmm.
just started to support the
Mm-hmm.
community, because I truly believe that, the evidence-based treatments are missing a key component of the puzzle, which is this. And so we center lived experience. We are on a mission to increase quality and access of care by training treatment professionals, and we are
Yeah.
working to, reduce stigma through those
So,
efforts. Yeah.
so tell me a little bit about then BFRB Changemakers. The reason you started it because,
So I started it in 2023 after
yeah,
just, years of kind of wanting to start my own, not even that, just like I started it in 2023 because again, I felt like we were missing a huge piece of the puzzle.
yeah,
Um, the community was a little bit, all over the place.
hmm
Um, and there there was nowhere for people to go at that time. And so I started it to try to create space for, and that's
mm
actually not true that there was nowhere for people to go because we've been helping people for a
mm
very long time,
mm
through the work at Habit Aware. Um, but at that moment, frankly, I just saw people hurting from
mm
some other stuff that was going on in the community. And I wanted to create space for that group of people to come together and to heal.
mhm,
Uh, and then from there, it's just become its own living,
mhm,
breathing thing of, well, again, like I said, the treatments are missing a key component, and I'm on a mission to make sure that component lives, that component has a voice. Um, because I see this working.
yeah. So my last question to you before we get to questions from our participants is, and it kind of piggybacks on what you've just been talking about. So you've been in this industry for quite some time. You've worked really closely with uh, so many different types of people. What have you, and if I'd love to know if you have picked up anything. Um, have you observed any kind of trend, whether it is with regards to treatment or stigma or anything like what have you picked up on um, that you would like to share with us, if possible? And then also, what do you hope to see in the future, in the treatment landscape?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is that missing piece that, the current standards of treatment are very focused on the physical, hand movement. How do we control the hands? And also then how do we control the symptoms, the baldness, the skin infections. Um, and again, that missing piece, like for long-term change. Those, I held up my finger, my hand earlier, right? Those other things. It's not the hair pulling. It's what the hair pulling is doing to our mind. That's the missing
Yeah.
piece. We need to get to that. We need to take care of that. And so that's the biggest insight. I mean, I've probably, I I've probably talked to, and I put talked to in quotes because it could be conversations like this. I do phone calls with people all the time. I've done peer coaching with people, but also just in like chat rooms and stuff, talked to the
Mhm.
most people with this condition. And so there are so many trends that I can see and understand. And I don't need to be a data scientist for my brain to pick out
Mhm.
and figure out these trends that I see.
Yeah.
I can see them, right? Like I already talked about hormones. Why are we not researching hormones? Why are we not looking at puberty and the female body and each time and the male body for
Mhm.
that matter, right? Like the estrogen levels, progesterone levels and grooming. Why?
Mhm.
Right? Like
Mhm.
that's one. Like there's so many other things. BFRBs and ADHD. Like is it stimming? Is it not? Is it focus? Is it like what's the link between those two? I see a lot of that. in my own life and in the people. And so like this is why this organization exists, is because the lived experience is not being looked at in a way that it should be, to get you the answers that you deserve.
Yeah.
And that's why I started this organization, because we need to meet the needs of the community.
Thank you so much, Aneela, for continuing to be vulnerable. And you do that to hold space for other people, and that's incredibly beautiful, and just amazing. And it obviously just shows your incredible character. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We do have a lot of questions. Some are comments, uh, just appreciating your love and enjoying your answers and comments. I'm just trying to find.
Yeah, I see them here.
Yeah,
We could just go down the line. I'm good. I
yeah,
got time.
yeah,
If you're
yeah.
okay with that, we'll just go down the line.
Of course.
So KB writes, quick question. You have now stopped. Your guys' hair is full and gorgeous. So I think that's a compliment for both of us. So yes, I like your hair too.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and I appreciate you saying my hair is full and gorgeous. My hair's a mess, but thanks. But just to clarify, I don't pull from my head hair. I pull from my eyebrows and my eyelashes. And no, I have not stopped, but I am in control. I pull a little bit. I pull a little bit, but I have my system. I have my strategies. I have, we have to understand this is a chronic health condition. Chronic means ongoing, right? And so
Yeah.
we have to give ourselves that grace of stopping means never again. So how can something that is ongoing be never again? We have to have a different level of success. Okay? So it's not about stopping, it's about managing. And I am managing. I am in control. My hands are not in control anymore. And that is what I want for you all.
Yeah.
PB says, I understand that your bracelet helps people who may be unconsciously pulling to interrupt the behavior. I'm 73, have been very focused hair puller for decades. My legs are covered with old scars, wounds, ingrown hair. I've been able to hide for so long. I only understood lately that I share this disorder with so many people that it has a name. I'm not sure your device would help because I choose to pick and pull. What do you think? So there's a lot of things in here. So, first is just to define focused pulling. So focused or focus picking. Focus, there's two types, right? So one is automatic, which is that autopilot, the subconscious brain just does it. You don't realize it's happening until it's too late, until you start seeing the hairs on the floor, on your keyboard. Focused is, and I have both. Focused for me was feeling something here, not really, starting out, not realizing, then feeling something, and then getting up to get my tweezers, going to the bathroom, leaning in the mirror. I know, I put no in quotes, that I was getting up. I know I was opening the drawer. I know I didn't have control. So again here, these descriptions are, to me, outdated based on the research that was from the 90s and the early 2000s. It is really about control. It is really about where in the brain is it coming from. It's still the subconscious in charge. The vibration is what shifts it. It shocks you. It wakes you up to say, oh, wait a minute. How did I get to the bathroom? Right? I didn't know that I was getting up. I wasn't saying, Aneela, it's time to get up and go to the bathroom. Foot, walk, right foot, right? That is all automatic. You just sort of wind up there, right? Like think about, how do you brush your teeth in the morning? Think about how you got to work today. Do you remember the route? Do you remember how many stoplights you stopped at? Do you remember how many people crossed this path? No, because you're on autopilot. You're still on autopilot. You do not have control. And so understanding those two nuances, those differences really, really helps. So that's where this comes into play, is that it's helping you shift to control. So that you can do the treatment profession is trying to help. So I'm just going through again. So your legs, I've totally been there as well. I kind of did as in my tweens and teens, again, very hairy, tweeze, ingrown hairs and things like that. So I've been there with that. I understand that pain. I understand that feeling. And for you to just find out that this has a name, like sit with it for a bit, sit with it, read about it, understand, go into the communities, find, get to a space where you can feel like safe. You know what I mean? Because for me, when I found out it was trichotillomania, I was in my 20s and it was around, like I said, mental illness. So it added more stigma to me. It put me actually in a deeper depression than I already was. But now we're in a different time period. We have more information out there. It's not mental illness, it's mental health. It's not a disorder. It's I like to actually think of all these mental health disorders and conditions not as disorders, but as actually things that are, again, tools that the brain is using to try to get us to be where we need to be. And so you can kind of work with that. You can kind of try and find your story there. Is what I'm saying there. And then will the device work for you? Because it's your legs, I would say no. And the reason is the device, the algorithms work for basically neck up, hair pulling, nail biting, face picking. So the 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 system that we've built, the technology, the sensors, because our hands, you can see me talking right now, my hands move so much. But because our hands move in so many different ways, that down is a lot trickier for us to say that's hair pulling on the legs. And so the device would not work for you. But Habitware has other resources. Meryl's groups, TrickStop and SkinPick have other resources for you. So just because this may not be the right thing for you, one, it doesn't mean it's not the right thing for someone else on this call. And two, it doesn't mean that there isn't the right thing for you out there. It just means you have to do your homework. You have to connect. You have to show up to things like this, serendipity as a strategy, and find them.
Yeah. And we might not be able to get through every question.
We might not.
And if you have follow-ups, please do email me at support@trickstop.com for hair pulling. For skin picking, it's support@skinpick.com. And if you're not sure about what's the next step, we can also support and guide you and help put you in the right direction.
I was going to, you know what? Let me just very quickly. I know we have 6 minutes, so we'll try to get through everything. But here in my name, I just put my email address. So anyone we don't get to or has a follow-up, screenshot this. I read every email. I respond to as many as I can. I will respond to yours.
If your hand is up, we obviously, due to the way that we've structured the webinars for confidentiality and all that kind of thing, we won't be allowing you to speak, but please do write in the Q&A box and we'll attend to that. And again, if you can't, then just send us an email. Maybe we have
that one.
Space for 2 more questions.
I feel so much shame. So again, anonymous attendee, I'm aware I can't stop. So again, awareness is, how are we defining awareness? Awareness and control. So think on that a little bit and then email me, come back to me. Melissa, my son developed this at 8. He was also diagnosed with ASD, Asperger's, ADHD, twice exceptional. I've been hearing that term so much more. I love it. More self-aware of his emotions. He shared. High fives. This is just beautiful. It's been
Yeah.
challenging to say the least as a parent, not having control and seeing your child struggle. Okay, you all get hugs from me, but Melissa, this one is for you. The parental journey it's its own journey, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, like when Meryl asked me, what would you tell little Aneela? Look at your son. Look at how many curveballs life is throwing him, and look at his response. You have a 1,000-time exceptional human being there. And he is your teacher. I say all the time, my kids are my teacher. You were put together for a reason. So yes, there may be struggle in there, but oh my wow. I don't know how old he is now, but oh my wow, look at the action he's taking. This is heartwarming. This is it. These are the types of people we need in the world. So keep going. Keep loving him. Keep doing whatever you're doing, because just I'm speechless. Is trichotillomania more frequent in men and women? So it was believed to be, and some research early on did show that. But again, what do we know versus what do the scientists know? Well, women are conditioned that their hair, their skin, their nails are what is important. So of course we are going to go seek out more help. Men, it's okay if they're bald. It's okay if they shave their beard. And also, buck up. Don't cry, right? Emotions. Oh,
Mm.
right.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
each gender is taught a different thing. So then as they grow up, one gender is going to go seek help and one gender is not. And so originally the data showed that it was more women. Now more recent data shows it's even. But that's society.
Yeah.
That's the society we
Yeah.
live in. Is the bracelet available in Canada? Yes, you can go to habitaware.com and we ship worldwide. And the coolest thing, like Australia, Israel, Singapore, Philippines, like all over the world, people are building their awareness. So we would love to have you. We'd love to join you. That's awesome. I'm so glad, Melissa, that he is onto getting the right care. Thank you so much for this very helpful mother of 14 who has Trick, very lonely, working through together, improving, currently doing homeschooling. That's great. Yeah, so in terms of MD is looking for specialists. So, Habitaware does peer coaching. Meryl can speak to Trick Stop Skin Pick, has services in that way. BFRB Changemakers, again, if you want to email me at habitaware.com, we have access to treatment professionals that are well versed. So if you tell me, what state you're in, what insurance, I can help you find a specialist. Anonymous attendee, is the speaker autistic or ADHD? Dude, I don't know. It is possible. I mean, it is possible. I've never been diagnosed for either, but also it was a time, again, the 90s, we didn't know what ADHD was. We didn't really have autism as a word. So yeah, I probably, whatever. That just means I'm triple exceptional. All right.
Okay, I think we've run
we're
out
good.
of time.
Oh, we have. All
And
right.
there are so many good questions, and we are getting so much love. Couple things before we go. So if you didn't get a chance to have your question answered, if you have a question and you would like it to be answered now, please do send us an email. A reminder that this is recorded, so I will be putting it up on the YouTube channels, the websites shortly. So you will get all of those links. If you registered for this event, you will get the recording directly to your inbox. So you don't have to panic and look for any of those links. And then also, you've stayed right to the end. If you are interested in the Trick Stop or the Skin Prick program to treat trichotillomania, hair pulling, and excoriation disorder, which is skin picking, you can get $100 off your first month using the promo code webinar100. And again, if you don't remember that, you can email me and I'll send it directly to you. So that's really a nice way to help you get started on your treatment.
Yeah. And I will
Um,
say that it's the perfect complement, right? Like the bracelet is the always on
yeah,
awareness and behavior change.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
the system of Trick Stop Skin Pick is
yeah,
the ongoing maintenance and the strategies and
yeah,
so it
yeah.
really works well together. And
Yeah.
if I may offer a code as well, Meryl, you can say no if
Sure.
you
Go for it. Go for it.
you can use code love at habitaware.com for 10% off. Or just email me and I'll help you get something going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You all got this.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody, all of you for sticking around, and asking your questions and just taking all of this in, and for some of the amazing comments. And Aneela, thank you so much, for taking the time out to speak to all of us. And again, sharing your story. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. I love all
Thank you.
the emojis. Amazing. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.